Hi there. I know it's been a while since I've posted. Um, this morning I was listening to Hassan Piker, who is a Turkish Muslim man living in America who has a large following, and he is against the occupation and genocide of Palestinians. So I like what he has to say. Although he did go on a rant about how awful the people who are occupying the Palestinian lands are, and he said a lot of derisive things which I don't agree with. Even if you're an evil person, even if you have, even if you're a person who does evil things, which is most of us, like pretty much all of us on Earth right now, doesn't mean that you deserve judgment or hatred or violence. So, but I was listening to him talk about some Israelis who um, engaged in some killings, some soldiers who killed Palestinians, who had the gall to then talk about their PTSD, their post traumatic stress disorder. And it made me think about war veterans in the US who supposedly have PTSD and how that's kind of a propaganda word for what's really happening, which is um, maybe PSSD, post sin stress disorder. So, anytime that you sin, you will experience stress or pain. And most of us sin every day, all the time. And so we are all in a great deal of stress and in a great deal of pain. And instead of feeling and releasing emotions of pain, instead of looking for what the truth is, what God's truth is on matters such as, is it okay to kill? Is it okay to engage in a war? Um, is war justified? We choose to continue to support and engage in wars. Um, so, my understanding from someone who I believe is much more loving than myself, Jesus, war is always wrong. War is mass killing, basically, and killing is wrong. So, whether that's someone who was charged with a crime and is being sentenced to death, uh, or whether it's someone killed in a war, or whether it's your neighbor who you want to kill because of something. It's always wrong. It's always unloving. It's always immoral. And so when you commit a sin like killing, you will experience the penalty that comes with that sin through the law of compensation, also known as karma. So, veterans, U.S. war veterans all over our country, are experiencing a lot of stress, are experiencing a lot of pain. But it would be better to describe that stress and pain as the result of sin as opposed to the result of trauma. Now, certainly in war, there's a lot of trauma. And certainly everyone has a lot of trauma inside of them that they are not wishing to release. We are taught certain ways of doing things, certain ways of being, especially in our family of origin. And we are taught that um, if someone does something to you, like they beat you, for instance, a lot of parents beat their children. A lot of parents verbally abuse their children. And if you're taught that that is a good thing, then you internalize that and you believe that any pain associated with that act is something I should not pay attention to. So that's what you have all over the place. People have a lack of understanding of God's perspective, God's morality, and so they are not able to see trauma for what it is. But more importantly, people are not able to see sin for what it is, see the sins that they are engaging in, and therefore, and the trauma or the pain and stress that comes from the sin that they engaged in. So it might be good to find another term other than post traumatic stress disorder, like PSSD, post sin stress disorder, might be a better thing. But there might be an even better term. I know sin is not a like people will listen to the word sin. You know, many people in my audience probably follow the Divine Truth teachings or listen to them, I should say, have heard them. Whether they're following and applying those teachings is another question. But they would be a little bit more comfortable with the term sin, but a lot of people are not. We live in a morally ambiguous society in the United States and in many countries in the West, and we are notoriously very separated from the consequences of our actions, and we do a lot of harmful things to countries across the world for our own benefit. A lot of the reason that we engage in war is because we want to have more, even though we don't really need more, but we want to fill emotional holes inside of us. Instead of dealing with our emotional injuries, basically, we want to um, engage in addictions to try to cover up the pain that we actually have inside of us. So that's really what's going on. But what is one way to solve this problem? What is one way to solve the problem of people going to war? If you're not a veteran yourself, um, like it's really important to see that war is wrong. It's really important to understand and see that killing is wrong all the time. Um, and if you were to do that, then you were to then it helps you to process through the emotions and the stress that you experience. It's really important to see that a sinful action is a sin. It is wrong. It is immoral. It is unloving. Um, but if you're not someone who has been to war, then it's a good idea to see how you are uh, committing, you are helping to engage in the war by proxy. Pretty much every American experiences the benefits, the spoils of war. And in a way, what we're doing is we're hiring an assassin, essentially. Um, those who do not go to war and kill other people who are Americans are assisting or basically sending these people to go and kill. So that's from the leadership in the government. That's from people in the elite class who are very wealthy, all the way down to people at the bottom of the social hierarchy. People, you could say, in the lower classes who are poor, and those in the middle class. So that's everybody. And if you are somebody, if you are an American, you have to come to admit that you are, unless you are taking steps to, you know, like some good things that you could do to help counteract the effects of war, or the, I don't know how to say it. Like, if you, to be truly against war, first of all, you'd have to have no violence in your heart, which is very hard to accomplish. uh, for most people at this time. Um, but you would people would see you taking care of your basic needs, not relying on systems to get water, food, um, shelter, clothes, other things. Um, you would be spending money not on just cheap stuff. You wouldn't just be buying cheap goods. You would be buying like goods at a reasonable price. By reasonable, I mean like you would be thinking about what this truly costs and spending, the amount of money that it takes to buy that thing. You would also be promoting morality, God's morality, and you would be campaigning against war and educating people about what the truth is and what sin is. So those are some of the things that you would do if you were to like separate yourself from the very greedy system that we have in America. Um, but yeah, that's basically what I want to say. Like, if you're not a war veteran, I mean, as a war veteran, to look at the flashbacks to really experience the emotions associated with those flashbacks that come back to you, the memories of the harm that you inflicted, the memories of harm that was inflicted on your compatriots or harm that was inflicted upon yourself, to go into those memories and to feel the pain associated with those memories and to kind of flush it out through the process of emotional processing. That would be a very good thing. To ask God for God's love and truth would be a very good thing. But for those who have not been to war or who have not been soldiers, it's important for us to see that we are basically proxy soldiers. And if you're like in a court of law, somebody who orders, hires an assassin has more blame than the assassin themselves because they instigated the plot to kill somebody. And so that's truthful, and that's really the truth of the average American. As we are not the assassins ourselves, but we hire assassins to kill other people. And so we have more blame than the average soldier. So that's really important to see as well. If you disagree with what I'm saying, which is, you know, most people who are not aware of the divine truth teachings or haven't taken any steps to follow them, um, most of them would be in that group. That's a great place to start. I think war is okay. I think war is sometimes justified. I think it's okay to kill under certain circumstances. Maybe war to me is a fact of life. It's what's been done and it's what will be done and there's nothing you can do to stop it. Everyone engages in war, that's just how it is. If that's how you feel, state your opinion, you know, really feel that that's how you feel. It's really important to form an opinion and also to be willing to state that opinion publicly, no matter how scary it is to say that. And people who are willing to form and state their opinions are in a much better position to be corrected and to find the actual truth because you state it, you put it out there, and you have opportunities from people that might know more truth than you, who will come to correct you and say, well, have you looked at it from this perspective? Have you considered this angle? And the most hard of hearts, the most stubborn, will ignore these things for a long time. And you might go to a very, uh, you know, unhappy place. You will be in it. You're probably in a hellish condition. And when you pass over, you'll probably experience a hellish condition. But it's just, however long you want to maintain your unloving opinions is how long you're going to stay there. And but yeah, those who form opinions and state them publicly or are willing to, you know, say how they feel are in a better position to deal with or they're much more likely to actually deal and find the truth. I guess That's- they're much more likely to find the truth because they can experience correction. But basically, that's all that I have to say. It's incumbent upon proxy soldiers, you could say, to which is the average American who may not have been to war, to look at the violence in their own heart, to ask God for truth on whether it's okay to kill anyone. Is it ever justified to engage in a war? Is it ever justified to kill someone? It's incumbent upon you to look at those things and to find the truth and to process through the negative emotions and to accept the truth emotionally in your heart. Thank you for watching, and farewell.